Okay. Need to start out and talk about our seniors and just real quick and what they've meant to us this year. Obviously, one of the things I'm most proud of is each and every one of them has had their best statistical year of their career this year. I think that's a credit to my staff, but also a credit to those guys. And even more important than that is the foundation that they're laying for this program in terms of their character, in terms of their self-development, their maturity. I think you see younger guys improving because they see the daily habits and the character of some older guys, and that's an initial point of what we're trying to get done, and one of the reasons we went the route that we did last spring in those 2 recruiting weekends that we had to kind of build the team. But you got to make sure you got the right guys, and I'll tell you one thing, we did. You know, the 3 new guys and 3 new seniors have done a tremendous job, and then you look at the progress that Isaiah's made over the this past 11 months is, you know, I can't tell you how proud I am of him in terms of that. And he didn't play a great game today, but we wouldn't have won the other night without him, and we wouldn't have won on the road at Tulane without him, and you know, just different things like that. So really proud and happy for those guys to end it. Those guys get to walk off this court in the Sun Dome with a great crowd. I appreciate the crowd. Feeling really good about, you know, now they're disappointed because they wanted more, but as I told them, you can't build this thing on sand. It's got to be on a rock, and those guys have been a rock for us. And down the road, when we're celebrating great success, we're going to look back at those guys and understand they were a key part of that. So pleased with that. In terms of the game, you know, we started out like it was senior night and the emotions were a little too high. And that's happened. Yeah, I've been through it enough to see it and to recognize it. But we played well the last 4 minutes of the first half, and then really came out with great energy in the second half. Total team victory. A lot of guys played well. A lot of guys did some things that we need them to do. You know, and the last couple games, you know, we had been playing better. We really have. This second half of the league, we've played better. And at the same time, we haven't maybe come away with the wins that we wanted. But you could see the progress, and there's no doubt. You look at our team, and you look at our team and break it down to individuals. Guys have done a tremendous job of collectively getting better and individually getting better.
Coach, could you please talk about how your team competed down the stretch when some other teams would have mailed it in or maybe even just quit?
Right. You know, so, you know, building the program that we want, that progress, that process. As I said, I think I said in the last game, it's never linear. It's never in a straight line. It's ups and downs. It's success and failures. It's wins and losses. It's good times and bad times. And sometimes what you do is you get caught in evaluating it and saying we're not where we need to be. And then a lot of teams will just give up in the process. We can't do that. We're in this thing for the long haul. We know the foundations of what we need to do to be successful. You know, you got to believe it's going to happen. I think that's a big thing in this program in terms of with positive energy, positive attitude, being able to fight through the adversity that's going to come. And you got to work. And that means your daily habits, in which I've talked about time and time again in here, you know. And the thing that we've done is we've believed and we've worked. But what happens, you know, if it doesn't come to where we want it right now? Well, the number one thing is we're in a much better place than we were before because of that. We may not be exactly where we want to be, but you just got to stay at it and stay at it. And that's what these guys have done. They've stuck to it. And, you know, I say all the time to our guys, the number one indicator of success is grit, the ability to work hard through tough times and adversity. And our guys have that, you know. And I think it's starting to show. And again, the thing is so important. Our young guys are starting to see it. and then we go out on the road and we sell it in our recruiting, because that's what this program has to be about. Sticking to the process, making the progress that we want to make, so in 2 years from now, 3 years from now, you're able to look back and say, that team was the one that started the whole thing off.
Coach, SMU gets 14 offensive rebounds. Good news, they're missing shots. Bad news, they're getting second chances. Is that something you could work on, or is it just a bounce of the ball?
Yeah, you know what? We didn't rebound the ball as well as tonight or today as we did the other night at Memphis, and we're going to have to rebound the ball better. SMU's so good at penetration, and so when they penetrate, you get scrambled defensively, and so now there's avenues for guys to rebound. But we weren't as physical as we need to be on the glass today. We were the other night, and we're going to have to be in the tournament to be successful. So, yes, I like the fact that they were missing shots, and yes, I don't like the fact that they were getting those rebounds. And I don't have the full book. I think they probably got 9 of those in the second half. They hurt us on the glass in the second half, but we came up with some big ones when we needed them down the stretch.
Coach, following up on that, the officials let those guys bang and bang and bang, and then when the ball goes inside, touch fouls. Does that need to change?
Well, you're going to get me in trouble. I'm going to be honest, okay? That group right there is a high-level officiating group. I thought the game, I'd like to see those guys every game. You know what I mean? Because they have a feel for the game. And so usually when you see a call like that, there was probably 3 bumps before it that they didn't call, to be honest with you. That's a high-level crew. So I thought the game was really well officiated. That doesn't mean I don't have some complaints or Tim doesn't have some complaints, but that's the nature of the thing. One thing too, as the season ends, as we go into the tournament, it's disappointing a little bit for our league. And here's the one. When we played SMU the first game, Peyton didn't play, and David was injured, coming off an injury. So we're a different team than what we showed up in Dallas. Well, they're a different team now too, because they got 2 guys out. Okay, and that's it's. I feel bad for our league as a first-year coach in this league. We're a 5 or 6 big league this year, with the 3 teams that are in Cincinnati, Wichita State, and Houston. But when we played SMU and they were at full strength, they were an NCAA caliber team. Now, I know they lost those 2 guys. They're still good. You know what I mean? They still got high-quality players. And then Central Florida is the same thing. They've lost, obviously, Taco. They lost, the kid was hurt early, but Johnny's son. Those, and then Temple has been up and down. But that's 6 teams where 5 of them are getting in. And it's hard when you go through injuries because our league needs that. And we're going to get to that point. You start looking around the league and looking at the young players like a David Collins and a Justin Brown and guys like that. This league's going to get to the point where we're having 6 teams legitimately or more in the NCAA tournament, and we're going to get there one day as well.
You mentioned David Collins, 18 of his 21 points in the second half. I think he missed, 2 shots?
Yeah.
He scored in double figures 8 of the last 9 games. Should he be on the conference all-rookie team?
Yes. And I'd be hard-pressed not to say he's the Rookie of the Year, to be honest with you. You look at statistical analysis, he's had as good a freshman year as anybody in the league, and statistically probably better. I think he's second in scoring. I think he's first in field goal percentage. I think he's first in assists. I think he's first in steals. He's had as good a year as any freshman around, and again, he's had as big an impact as any freshman. I also understand that sometimes the winning teams get more, and that I'm fine with that because that's on us to win some more games. But at the same time, I'd be hard pressed to say somebody's had a better freshman year than him. And he was spectacular today in the second half. I told him in the locker room, I think he thought the game started at 3 because the first half he wasn't out there, But one of the best qualities for David Collins and Justin Brown two freshmen, they can be coached. And you can jump them, you can get on them, and they know the second after you're done, we're moving on as coaches and they're moving on as players. But they listen. They, the old Judd Heathcote, learn to listen, listen to learn. Those two guys are really good at that, and David's as good as anybody around at that.
Coach, this may not be the right time for this question. I understand if you don't have an answer right now. Go back to October. What has exceeded your expectations through the regular season, and what has not met up? What one thing each way?
Well, I do think the chemistry and connectiveness amongst the team members has exceeded my expectations. And I mean that in this. We have not always played that way, but we got a really good group of guys that represent this program and this university the right way in the classroom, on campus, in the cafeterias, all that. And they all get along extremely well. New, old, decided to stay, decided to come. And that's been good. Now, one of the things I tell them is that's just the first step, because now you got to be great teammates, and great teammates hold each other accountable, different things like that. But the way our guys have embraced each other has been good, because what it does is your daily life is better as a coach, because everybody's on the same page. The thing that I would say we haven't met my standard, I mean, it's going to be basketball related. We're not as good defensively and rebounding as I would like to be. We don't play with the physicality that I'm accustomed to having our teams play with. But that does take some time now. I was very fortunate when I took over at Dayton, took over for Oliver Purnell, and we had a senior-dominated team. And I didn't have to teach those guys to be physical and tough and knock guys around. They did it already, and we were kind of that way at Georgia Tech. So it takes a while to build that mentality. But you see some guy like, David has that. Justin Brown is physical. You know what I mean? So that would be the only thing. And what's funny is when we've defended well and rebounded well, we've been in every game. We've been in every game, even when we've struggled offensively. So I think our guys have figured that out as well.
Nobody rebounds like Michigan State.
No. That's every time we get out rebounded, I get a call and threaten to be, eliminated from the family because of that. You know what I mean? And we'll get there. We'll get there. We did a great job on the offensive glass today, and especially in that first half. I think we had 8 or 9. Now, we didn't miss any shots in the second half. We shot 62%, so there are no offensive rebounds. But that was the best we offensive rebounded the first half today.
Anything else for Coach?
All good? All right, guys, thank you.